My question deals with the editing. What decisions go into the editing? So much film is shot, and I would imagine that lots of it ends up on the floor. So what decisions are made when editing is done? And the show is, you know, televised and made public?
Theoretically on the floor, but it's all digital now, so actually nothing actually... listen, we have an incredible, highly qualified, highly paid edit team. It's a big team of people. We're shooting a ratio of as much as 300 to 1. You know, people who don't understand the technical side of that, 300 hours shot equal 1 hour of television. So there's an enormous amount of shooting, which is a huge labor of love for people who actually care about their art of the edit. And nothing's written whatsoever. In fact, the rules are that during filming, camera shooters and producers do not speak to the apprentices, except for when they're pulled out to do an interview. So there's a fly-on-the-wall philosophy of not speaking to them, and they're told in the beginning, these camera people are not your friends, don't try and get to know them, they're not going to be rude, they just won't speak to you, you're the fly on the wall. So from that right on through to the edit, because it's not written, we know each week who has been fired. And therefore, you're editing in reverse. It's pointless not meeting a person during an episode who's getting fired because you emotionally won't have any stakes in caring whether they stay or go. So every time I've been here at Paley, I've given away things I'm thinking. And last time I've really put my foot in my mouth on Survivor. I don't really want to give away too much more. But
that was something.
Anyway, so it's a reverse process.
Mark, what are you doing?
That's right. So,
well, you also have, as a quick follow to that, when I was there for the Celebrity Apprentice, I couldn't believe it. I mean, there's an entire floor of the Trump building that you have just turned into a beehive of young people who don't seem to sleep and always have food lying around and are cutting and editing, and I mean, they don't sleep.
No, it's a machine. So when occasionally the apprentices will complain of, and we all complain when we're doing, sometimes we're tired and too much going on, and I'll remind them, for everything you're doing, there's a person running around with a camera on their shoulder for the same amount of time, in focus, considering the angle, considering the art of the process. You know, and so we have a huge obligation. We've been paid a lot of money by NBC to deliver primetime television, and it's just got to be right. And it takes, you know, so it's a huge team of people. You know, obviously we get all the credit, but it's really about the people below us that deserve the real credit. It's an enormous talented team.
My biggest surprise when we first started The Apprentice 5 years ago is how many people it takes to make it, because we have actually 32 cameras. Now, we start losing cameras as we lose contestants, but the initial phase is 32 cameras. And I've had some people on the show, Richard Lefrak and lots of New York people, where I put them on the show, and they're just stunned. And actually, we've had some people coming in as sponsors where they'll stand up and speak, and they can't believe it because they're looking at 32 cameras and they just get lockjaw. They can't even speak. Yeah. We had one executive, I won't mention the name of the company, but he's a very well-known executive. And I said, now don't be nervous, and just don't worry, we'll help you out, and just don't be nervous. When you walk in, you're going to see a lot of cameras. And he goes, Don, don't worry about it. Somebody you know very well, Frank. Don't worry about it. I do this for a living. I'm a professional, blah, blah, blah. So we then burst the doors open, and there's like 30 cameras lined up. And he's like, okay, we said, go ahead. And he just literally froze. He just couldn't say a thing. And he was it was amazing. He just got, I guess you'd call it stage fright or something, but sort of an embarrassing situation.
And Donald loves that.
I love it. Well, I actually wanted to leave it on the show, and I got very upset with Mark. I wanted to leave it on the show. He said they paid us $2.5 million to be on the show, and then we're going to show the guy with lockjaw. So
he gets pretty involved. He goes in. I've seen him. He goes in and watches at the end.
They're all involved. They're all. I mean, listen, this is the cast of a primetime network show. They're all really involved. We're on the phone all the time, you know, looking at cuts. You know, it's a.
We've had a great relationship. Mark and I have had just a great relationship. We've really never argued. I think probably the only little argument we have is I happen to think the boardroom should be longer and the task should be shorter. And if you look at the ratings, the boardroom gets by far the highest ratings. In other words, a lot of people just really love the boardroom. And Mark feels that the task has to be, long enough to justify being into the boardroom and going into the boardroom. So that would be our only point of contention. I think the boardroom personally should be longer, and a lot of people agree
Just
with
in
that.
case you haven't heard that before.
That wasn't clear the first time I said it.
So I say it again. This has been going, by the way, this has been going on for 5 years, so.